Hello, this is Dr. Dolopo, and today we're going to talk about feeling defeated and what we can do specifically for our health on little steps and some of the big steps we can do to not feel defeated. I'm going to keep this specifically in regards to improving our health. And the reason why I'm bringing up this topic is because it's only January 17, and I'm seeing some people already feeling defeated, and we barely just started. And I live by a premise, which is how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you're already feeling defeated before you even start, or before you even, do one lap, or, you just started, and you just started running and you haven't even finished one lap, and you're already feeling like, I don't think this is ever going to get better, whatever that is. I don't think I can ever have a baby. I don't think I can get rid of this pain. Even if the instructions are clearly put out in front of you, do it like this, and that I know that look of defeat. I know that look of defeat because I used to own it. I used to embrace it. And I'm going to use an analogy of myself that has nothing to do with Chinese medicine. And hopefully you can understand how I have been able to have longevity as a licensed acupuncturist, being a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. I've been in this profession studying since 1994. I've been in practice since 1999. But it was glim in the beginning. But that's not, I'll use that as part of how I went from feeling defeated to feeling successful, to feeling like I can achieve certain goals in my career. But I'm going to dig from something else that has nothing to do with Chinese medicine. So let's talk about feeling defeated. It's either feeling financially defeated, health defeated, relationships defeated, not being able to run on time, always feeling, Dr. Tan would say, time, money, and relationships. And I add to that health and freedom. There are people here who feel and act like winners. They have this knowingness that they will heal. And they will heal. And then there are people who, life has gotten the best out of them. And I just feel really compelled to doing this video because it doesn't have to stay that way. Where you are right now, that's not a permanent, you should not permanently identify with that. When people see me now, I think people see someone who's very confident, and I've achieved definitely a certain level of success in my career. They check out my two websites, elementsinharmonyacupuncture.com and successfulacupuncturist.com, and say, oh, she's got it together. But it wasn't like that. I'm 49 years old, and I wasn't like this when I was 20 or younger, or I definitely did not feel this way in my 20s. And it took a while for me to get my bearings together. I didn't make a profit the first 7 years of my practice. What you see now is different than where I was before. So let's talk about feeling defeated and what we can do to feel more successful every day. And I'm going to borrow a term that I found online, which is those atomic habits, those small little habits. So the analogy I'm going to give is, this is going to be my 11th year practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And that is definitely a part of my life that I have had my share of feeling defeated. And I can tell you that if I didn't create a certain regimen or protocol or, a code to live by as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, I would have quit a long time ago, because nothing's more defeating feeling defeated than being smashed and being treated like you don't belong on the mat. And it's an internal battle. If you don't know what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, you've probably been living under a rock, but basically it's a type of grappling style. It's a type, just think wrestling, I call it wrestling in pajamas if you're using a gi, or, we wear a gi or we don't wear a gi, but I'm just going to leave it like, just think of wrestling. It's kind of like that, but it's not really. So, women, I'm talking to you. Men, I'm talking to you. It doesn't matter what you feel defeated about, not feeling strong about your immune system, not feeling confident if you'll become a parent, not feeling confident if you'll get rid of your pain, not feeling confident that you'll have your autoimmune issue, healed. But you can't think that way for the rest of your life. When I was 1999 to 2000, 2001, I worked in 2 community medical clinics. And I saw people, I was 26, 1999, and the average age of the people that I saw were 73, 75 years old. Average, if not older. Some of my patients were in their 90s. I got to see what real great health looked like. And I decided at 26 what I wanted my health to look like when I'm older. I actively work at feeling and looking younger every day, because I can. It's not going to happen when I'm in my 50s, 60s, 70s, where I'm like, oh, now I'm going to start working on looking younger and feeling younger. I decided when I was 26 that I was going to do whatever it took to live as healthy as possible. So you're probably thinking, you're kind of all over the place right now, but let me pull this all together. When we feel defeated, we don't feel like we can accomplish anything. And we feel tired. We don't feel like we can ever get rid of this anxiety. We can get rid of pain. We can get rid of, this feeling trapped, not feeling comfortable in our skin. The goals are just in our health, the goals financially, the goals with what we want in life just seems so far. I'm thinking about the people here, that the relationship is not going where I want it to go. The money is not going where I want it to go. The education is not going where I want it to go. And each time you think about it's not going the way I want it to go, that's more of not feeling successful. There's a little statement I have here on my desk by George Eliot. It says, "It is never too late to be what you might have been." I received my master's in 1998. I received it cum laude. It says that on my license. I'm looking at it. August 16, 1998. They didn't have the doctorate program. When they started having the doctorate, and I've been licensed as an acupuncturist since 1999. When they started having the doctorate program, I decided at that time to get married and start having children. They're 18 and 12 and 5. And more people started becoming doctors of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, doctors of acupuncture and oriental medicine, doctors of oriental medicine. Those were the titles being given by the universities and the colleges. And I was feeling badly that, I felt like that ship sailed. And it wasn't a good feeling, but I was looking at my life like, I can't go into a doctorate program and at the same time raise kids. It's just, we don't have any family here in Orange County. So I decided I'm just going to be the best mom that I possibly can be, as well as being a business owner and being an acupuncturist. And I'm just going to give the world the best that I could. And those were the action steps that I took to feeling like a winner. And I had to swallow my pride every time I had to call someone else who was a licensed acupuncturist a doctor, whereas I would always be Anna. And I had to live with that because it was more important to me at the time to focus on being a mother. Something that typically men don't have to make that decision between being, going to school and also carrying babies. My husband never really had to sacrifice anything physically in order to achieve his goals. I gave up martial arts for 8 years when I found that I was pregnant with my now 18-year-old child. That was very difficult for me. I gave up a lot, and it was very hard. But looking back, those were the years that I especially took care of my health, and I especially worked at whatever I had to do to be an amazing mother to 2 children. And I told my husband when I was pregnant in 2003, I gave birth in May 2004, that I was going to focus on being a mom because I'm an only child. I wasn't raised with siblings. I wasn't raised really with cousins. They're mostly in the Philippines and scattered around the U.S. and other countries. So I really wanted to focus on being a mom. And I said, I'm going to go back to training in some kind of martial arts a year after our second child is born. That happened to be 8 years after. That's a big sacrifice. 8 years I could have studied to become a medical doctor. That's where my focus was at that time. And it felt defeating to go back to taking kickboxing classes. I thought, oh, I've taken it. You know, my daughter, I gave birth to Anais, my now 12-year-old. I gave birth to her in 2010. I'm going to focus on Zumba, get my body a little bit in shape. And then there was Rain Training Center down the street from my office. My husband said, hey, there's a gym 5 minutes down your street. It was Mark Munoz. He's a retired UFC fighter, Filipino guy. Super great gym. I was there. I was not at my current jiu-jitsu school. The first month, I cried in my car almost pretty much every day. I trained several times a week. It was very hard to do any sit-ups. It was very hard to do any crunches. It was hard to do push-ups, barely push-ups on my knees. I couldn't do wheelbarrows. I felt weak. I thought Zumba did not prepare me for this. I'm not conditioned like I was over 8 years ago. And I almost quit. It was so hard. And it's easy to just, I'm not going to do it. But I stuck with it. And every day got easier and easier. And I treated myself, but acupuncture is not going to strengthen your muscles. It's going to help with pain. It can help with motivation. It can help with strengthening your muscles. But when it comes to like kickboxing, when it comes to punching bags and kicking bags and, you know, doing push-ups, and, you know, acupuncture is not going to help with that. It's going to help with many things, but it's not going to condition you to working out to a certain level. If you're doing cross training, it's CrossFit. If you're doing martial arts, it's martial arts. Boxing, football, soccer, swimming, whatever, your body has to be conditioned to that. And I'm telling you, I cried almost every day that I was in my car, quietly to myself. I didn't share that with anyone. And then come a year later, I joined, it was at least a year, I started doing jiu-jitsu. My husband has been with Total MMA, Brazilian Top Team Orange County, since 2006. My daughter joined in 2010, and I joined in 2012. Talk about another level of difficulty. And I made myself a promise based on that. It is never too late to be what you might have been. I made a decision, success is a decision away. I made a decision, if I'm going to study jiu-jitsu, I'm going to do it at my pace, to the extent of what I can, being that I have 2 children at the time. And I'm not going to compare myself to anyone. And I'm going to, and even though I've been studying some kind of martial arts since I was 7, I never earned my black belt in anything. I was always so close. I competed as far as Maryland. I always did pretty well. But I never earned a black belt. And in jiu-jitsu, it can take 10 to 15 years. And I thought, okay, I will stick with it. Just like with my education, I will stick with it. I will not quit. And I'm just every day going to do what I can do. And that brings me to the first lesson I want to share. Look at what you have accomplished. So I thought to myself, well, I was able to do a year of Zumba. And then I went to kickboxing. I was able to do a year, and I didn't quit really. I just stayed with it, but that was part of my conditioning. I never quit the kickboxing, even though I went to jiu-jitsu, because it helped me. The cardio, it helped me with conditioning. I remember a year after doing wheelbarrows, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe 6 months in, I can do this. But it was definitely a year later. I remember going up and down this long gym, and it was not difficult. It was fast. But a year before, I was, oh my God, it took forever. Everyone was beating me. And I remember thinking, I've come so far. Look at what you have accomplished. So I did the same thing when it came to jiu-jitsu. If I had to look at every person, all the girls and the guys, but especially women, who were learning faster than me, who were able to train 3 to 5 days a week, who were younger than me, stronger than me, they have pre-mom strength. If I had to compare myself to them, I would have quit a long time ago. Things usually get in the way for a woman, which is our education, if we want to be a career woman, getting married, having kids, things like that. So this first lesson, look at what you have accomplished. Every day I had to keep looking at what I can accomplish. I showed up. And that sometimes, if not oftentimes, was the win. Just showing up. And then I remember making a promise. I'm not going to quit. No matter what. Because now I thought I was done having kids. I think I was 37 years old. 37, 38. I want to say 38 actually. I was 38 when I first got on the mat with a white belt. And I thought, I'm gonna do this, and no matter how hard it gets, I'm not gonna quit. Remember, it's never too late to be what you might have been. I'm getting emotional about this because I see the defeat in some of your eyes. And I want to share, it doesn't have to stay that way permanently. So, I'm really proud of myself for this. I never quit. No matter how many times I might have gotten smashed on the mat, I never quit. I would always go back to this. Look at what you have accomplished. So I would look at my business. Hey, I got a business and it's doing really well. And there was a time when it didn't do well. There was a time when I didn't make a profit the first 7 years. And by the time I started making a profit, now I'm feeling challenged with my jiu-jitsu training. There were times when it just didn't feel like it was making sense. And I would show up and get beat and show up and get beat. And so I had to look at, what am I doing right? And my husband has 6 years over me as a jiu-jitsu practitioner. And he would give me advice. He's pulled rank on me at home 3 times. That didn't feel very good. But I thought, I'm not doing this for anyone else. I'm doing this for myself. That is an accomplishment, knowing that you're not going to school for anyone else. You're not doing your career for anyone else. You're not trying to have a baby for anyone else. It's for you. It's not for your husband. It could be for you as a unit. But the moment you say, this is for me, that's when you can fully embrace what it is your goal is. So, I want to share this particular story. Tommy, I remember I was 5 years in to doing jiu-jitsu. And my coach, Professor Giuliano, the owner of Total MMA, and he runs Brazilian Top Team Orange County. 5 years into doing jiu-jitsu. I want you to think, what is 5 years? You could have already had your bachelor's. You could have already gotten your master's. You could have already gotten your doctorate. And one of those degrees, if not 2, if you're smash everything together, you could have gotten your bachelor's, or you could have gotten your master's, or you could have gotten your master's and your doctorate, or just your doctorate. But 5 years is a long time if you look at it in that kind of that commodity and that length of time. And then I was 43, and I remember my husband kept joking around for 2 years. That's why I don't joke around for certain things. And I found out I was pregnant, and I felt honestly defeated. And I had to let go of that guilt because I helped so many women and men get pregnant. And I thought, this has to be looked at like a blessing. But a day I thought, I don't want to get pregnant. I don't want to be pregnant. Because Giuliano said something to me. Coach Giuliano said one major thing to me. After 5 years of training, you look good. You look good out there. It looks like it's starting to make sense to you. Which to me, I interpret I interpreted that as, man, it took 5 years to finally look like I'm not losing. When I got pregnant, I made it a point that I was not going to quit jiu-jitsu. I still showed up in kickboxing. I still showed up on the mat. I still showed up in boxing. I didn't give 100%. I gave anywhere between 20 to 60%. I remember I was taking this boxing class at Renaissance at the time. I was at Renaissance for 10 years. And it was just like for cardio. And I remember my first class, I was pregnant. The coach didn't know that, and he used to coach Olympians. He didn't know that I was pregnant. And he said, get off your knees when I was doing push-ups, unless you're pregnant. And I was in the beginning, I was maybe end of first or second trimester, so you couldn't really see with the big shirt. And I might have worn a sweater. I said, I am pregnant. So after that, we were cool. I started boxing, pregnant. My husband asked me, are you going to quit martial arts again? And I said, no. It took me a long time to get conditioned again. And I'm not going to do what I did with the girls. By then when I gave birth, Angeline was 13, Anais was 7. So time had already gone by. When I started training jiu-jitsu, that was 2012. And she was born 2004. So she was 8 years old. And I thought, I'm not going to go through this again, reconditioning my body. I'm not going to go through the crying in my car again because my body became weak. And I'm only getting older. So I'm not going to. I did that once, for better, for worse. It was a decision I made, and I got what I got out of it. But I'm not going to do that with this pregnancy. I was either going to keep my pregnancy and go gung-ho with, or do what I can, or I was going to get rid of my pregnancy and go full blast, and no one would have known. But that thought was fleeting, and it probably lasted a day. And because I was, my husband gave me, he said, hey, it's your body, and I know you're scared because you're 43 and you're older and your business is doing well and you're training jiu-jitsu. Just, make the decision that's right for you. So I thought about it, and I felt the fear. I'm not in my 30s anymore. I had my kids at 30 and 36. We thought we were done. But I thought, this is a blessing, and let's see what we can do. So at 43, and you can go to Elements of Harmony, Acupuncture.com, go to fertility, and go to love/love. And you'll see me kicking a bag, pregnant. Not the strongest kicks, but I'm kicking a bag. Because I was not going to lose my conditioning. I was not going to lose, I got fit. When I say fit, I felt strong. And I had accomplished so much already at that point. Now, fast forward 9 months after I gave birth to a 9-pound boy. Full term. All of them were full term. They were 7, 8, and 9 pounds. When Tommy was 9 months old, I was on the mat. And this is, when I say defeated, I know what that feels like. We're either feeling defeated when it comes to our relationships, our careers, the decisions we've made, maybe our finances, maybe, how we manage our time, prioritize our time. Maybe some of us feel like we've put in more time at work than with our kids, and now they're grown up. You can't take back that time. Maybe you have a certain level of health condition like cancer or an autoimmune issue that seems like it's unsurmountable, and you're going to have to live with this for the rest of your life. Maybe you're disabled now. You're not able-bodied like you were before. And it just seems, the defeat seems permanent. I had this tremendous level of defeat. One particular day I was on the mat And I remember Tommy was exactly 9 months old. I wanted vaginal births. They all ended up. The second one, we were set up with 2 midwives, beautiful home birth. We were set. If you go to elementsinharmonyacupuncture.com, you'll see all of these beautiful home births after cesarean, vaginal births after cesarean, beautiful home births, vaginal births, great births. That's my third website, by the way. So in my other 2 websites, there are more testimonials on the beautiful births I gave women. When I say gave, I mean like we prepared them, you went into labor, went to their midwife, went to the hospital, had perfect non-medicated or medicated births, but they were able to be delivered vaginally, with or without medication. Ion, on the other hand, did not have those experiences. And those, I've saved that for another video. That wasn't without trying. That wasn't without trying. Anyways, here I am, 9 months. Tommy's 9 months old. I have a beautiful, healthy baby boy. I have, at that point and now, what so many women on this planet want. I know a little bit about fertility and the struggles that women go through because it's my specialty. I just did a video on a woman who had 5% chance to get pregnant. 1 fallopian tube. Donor eggs were required from the doctor because she had 4 failed IVFs. She was over 40, and her AMH was 0.16. AMH should be between 1 and 4. And I made that happen in 6 months working with mommy and daddy. You can watch that video. I know a lot when it comes to fertility struggles, not because of my own, but because of the work I've done here. So here I am with my beautiful boy. I'm feeling grateful. Sometimes the challenges in life come out of the blue, and you don't know how or when it's going to happen. But when it happens, what is the integrity inside you that comes out? Who is the true you that comes out when life smashes you? When life does not feel fair? When life spits in your face? That was the day that I was given probably my most humbling experience on the mat ever. And you may think being smashed on the mat is not like feeling defeated in your health. I would say I know what it's like to have chronic pain for 10 years. I healed from it. I know what it's like to feel fat because I lost 48 pounds. I lost at the time that was 6 sizes. This was in my early 20s. From 1994 to 1996. I know what it's like to heal from anxiety and depression. I was abused growing up, and that's in another video. I know what it's like to have anxiety, depression, weight issues, menstrual issues, skin issues, not feeling confident in my skin because I'm the fat girl in college and no one looked at me, no one wanted to date me. I know what it's like. In this case, I'm using jiu-jitsu as an analogy of feeling defeated. What you see now, who you see now is completely different at 49 years old than when I was 39 or 29 or 19. I started studying Chinese medicine when I was 20. It's been a transformation. I've reinvented myself several times, and I am reinventing myself right now as we speak. I was on the mat. I was 43 years old. Tommy was 9 months old. I was having a good time, and I rolled with this white belt. I was already, at that time, maybe, I want to say, a 2 or 3 stripe blue belt. I did not know what was going to happen that day. This dude manhandled me. I've been with fighters since I was born. My dad was my first teacher. He started teaching me karate when I was 7 or younger. I've had a profound respect for the people I've trained with since I was little, including my father. I've trained Choi Lei Foot, Hung Sing Choi Lei Foot. I've trained Wushu when I was in high school. When I trained Choi Lei Foot, I competed forms in Maryland, throughout California, especially in the Bay Area, San Francisco. I was in San Francisco Chinese New Year parade several years in a row. I've trained Kajikembo and different things. I never fought a guy who was an asshole until that day. When I was at Rain Training Center, I was around superstars, UFC fighters. I saw respect. I was always around respectful people. People who were white belts to really advanced black belts and higher. I had never been with a jerk, ever, until that day. And my friend Don, a guy, he watched this. And I was humiliated. This guy was not nice. And the word defeat, that's one of the first things I think about, was that day. It was humiliating. I felt weak. I didn't feel conditioned. And this guy was relentless. And he was going to prove to me that day that I didn't deserve my blue belt, that I didn't deserve to be there because I was a girl. All these thoughts were going in my head. I must have tapped 14 times in 2 minutes. I counted because at that point, I don't know, maybe it was 3-4 minutes. It just felt like an eternity. Like that bell was not going to ring. And I just said, I'm done. I am done. I never blogged about my jiu-jitsu journey. This is year 6. I never blogged about it before. I haven't blogged about it since, but that night I did, and all these thoughts ran in my head. I can quit now. I have 3 children. I'm a 9-month-old. F whatever people say. I'm entitled to quitting. But I remembered why I started to begin with. That's why the intention and the promises you make to yourself are so important. When someone comes here and they tell me, I ask them, what is your vision? And they say, I want a family, or I want to heal. And I know I had 10 years of pain, stopped me from playing my violin for over 2 years. I know what chronic pain is. I used to be much heavier, and I remember thinking, I'm never going to lose my weight. And I remember going down to a size 0. I remember being size 2. I'm with Tommy right now. I'm not bad. I'm 49. I'm not a size 0 2. I'm okay at a 4, but I'm working at it again. He's 5 years old. I'm okay if the cost of having 3 babies is being a size 4. I'm okay with it. I'm taking some steps right now to see if I can get to a size 2. But I'm okay. I look all right. I accept where I am at. I'm not where I was before. That night was so difficult for me. And I had to go back to, why do I do this? Don did something miraculous for me. He told some guys. I never said anything to my husband. I never asked anyone to take any actions for myself. I didn't cry in front of the guy. I held my head up high, shook his hand, then I got off the mat. I didn't make any excuses. I didn't say, hey, I just gave birth. My tummy's still not fully, developed. I had 3 cesareans, major surgery. If you don't know what a cesarean is, you got a human out of your belly. That's major surgery. I didn't make any excuses. I took the beating like a big girl. I took the beating, and I'm proud of that. I rarely talk about this, but sometimes I think people need to know that I know what it's like to feel defeated. Don ended up telling some guys, and I didn't know this until later. My husband did tell me that some guys found out just how much of a jerk that was, and they took care of it. I didn't ask them to. If you train martial arts, don't be a jerk like that. There's a nice way to roll. There's a nice way to spar with people without being a total jerk. I don't ask for favors as a girl. I never have. And I thought that was very nice of my husband to also stand up for me, if you will. The guy never knew why. But what I'm proud of is I never asked anyone to stand up for me. Which takes me, I shared this earlier, the second lesson, which is where you are at does not permanently define you. So I took that moment and I said, I feel like a loser, which I am right now, but that doesn't mean I have to stay here. I had been given opportunities before then to train privately, with Coach Junior Oliveira. He's a world champion. He's one of the black belts at our school. He does a great job teaching quite a few of the classes. He's adored by many people at our school. And that defeat gave me the courage I needed and the reason to ask for private lessons. I trained, for the most part, I gave birth 2020. 2021 was when I was defeated, 9 months after October. So November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. After July, I started doing privates with Coach Junior. 2021. It is now 2023. So 2022, 2023. No, I gave birth 2017. So 2018. So since 2018, for the most part, almost every Wednesday, every week, almost every week, I've been doing privates. And that was minus, when it was COVID and all that. But sometimes you got to take a defeat and you got to look at what it is. You have to look at where the failure is for what it is. And that's when you have the opportunity to do something amazing. I could have wallowed in my defeat. I could have just stayed there and let it define me forever. I specifically chose to not change from my work clothes and stay in my lab jacket and my scrubs because I just got off work. I could have changed, but I want you to see what I do for a living. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. I heal people with acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Being a jiu-jitsu practitioner is part of what I do. But sometimes when our hobbies can get the best out of us, or our relationships, or even our work, our careers, that doesn't mean that the failures we experience on a day-to-day or once in a while means that it has to be a permanent part of our identity, which is what I saw today in one specific person. But a lot of times we don't see the defeat in our eyes until we see it in someone else. Like once we are released from the defeats and we feel like a winner again, or we start feeling successful, when I see defeat in someone's eyes, I can identify with it and I know where they're at. And it's not my job and it's not your job to release someone from defeat. People have to get themselves out of that struggle on their own. But if from this video I can share with one person that you don't have to dwell there when it comes to time, money, relationships. Dr. Tan would say that, my master. Or I also add health and freedom. You don't have to reside there. Action will cure your doubts. Action will cure your anxiety. The right actions are going to get you out of the mud and have you blossom facing the sun on the surface of the muddy waters. I was watching this video. Admiral, I want to quote him. Go to YouTube. Admiral McRaven. I was watching this video. I watched it maybe 20 times at least over the last 2 years, at least. And I learned this from some other training. And I've listened to it several times, but it finally hit me the other day. So I've been sharing it. I'm the daughter of a sailor. My father served 20 years in the U.S. Navy. I'm very proud of that. That's how I got here to the United States. And my father-in-law also served 20 years in the U.S. Navy. And my husband's grandfather was the first registered Filipino to serve the U.S. Navy. And they did a documentary on him. My husband played his role in the documentary movie. It's no lines, but you see him playing his role. And my nephew, my niece, my husband's niece, her husband is retiring from the Navy. So we are a military family. This statement means a lot to me. The best sailors are not born from calm waters. The best sailors are developed from the harshest of seas. That's an important lesson. You don't become a great fighter from fighting people that you always beat. And it took a long time for me to understand that. And you don't actually have to be a martial artist to understand that, because every day there can be a challenge. But it's what you do in those moments of challenges that define you. I was at this personal growth seminar over the weekend. It was just 4 hours, but it was 4 powerful hours. It was in San Diego. It was a ton of information. And during our second break, I was in this marketplace in the Hilton, and I saw this guy berating. He was in the seminar. We're on our second break. We're going to go back. There's an hour and a half left. He's berating the cash register, the manager, berating her. And I thought to myself, that's quite interesting, because we were just learning how to be more positive and how to have self-awareness and to be kind to people and a bunch of other stuff. And this is what he was yelling at the woman. He said, "It's about self-awareness." Basically, he was upset and he wanted her to have self-awareness. And she was being kind. I was checking out. I'm in the middle of this. He's yelling at her. I'm in the middle. It took everything I had to not turn around and look at him and put my hand in front of his face and say, it's about being aware of yourself. I didn't take the battle that day. I let him act like a jerk in front of at least 30 people in that little marketplace. This is 49-year-old Anna. 29-year-old, 39-year-old Anna, 19-year-old Anna would have taken on the fight. I would have defended her. And then now we have this, debacle. And I would have had to go back to hundreds of people in the seminar. And, I could have said something, but I chose not to. Because his face, he was being him. He was revealing his true self. And the manager took care of it with as much grace as she can. And what was I going to do? Just add more fire, fuel to the fire. There are several lessons I learned from being a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, a licensed acupuncturist, and jiu-jitsu practitioner, a violinist, being married for 20 years, raising 3 kids, raising kids during COVID, staying at home. And defeat comes in different forms. And defeat comes when we least expect it. But it's who we are in moments of challenges where we act from grace or we act from desperation or anxiety or stress. The truth always comes out. I mentioned the guy at that marketplace because he did not act from grace. And I identified myself in him in other times in my life. And I thought to myself, I witnessed that and I've grown, because that could have been me easily. I was in a situation where he was an hour and a half or 2 hours before. And the issue happened to me. And I chose to put my food back and say, I'll just starve for another hour and a half. It's not that big of a deal. And I'm proud of myself for not acting like him, because there was a time that I might have acted like him. It's what we do when we're challenged. Challenge could just be hungry. Challenge could be tired. Challenge could be not feeling like we're listened to. Challenge can be feeling like we're not accomplishing what we want to accomplish. Not being pregnant, getting our period, not feeling like the pain is going away, not feeling like we're making the progress, not feeling recognized at work for all of what we're doing, not feeling like our apologies are being accepted, not feeling this, not feeling that, feeling entitled. What do we do in moments of struggle? And how can we act with grace? I easily apologize now. And what a person does with my apology is up to them. Because it has taken me a long time to understand that just because I apologize doesn't mean that people can easily forgive me. So I take that and I think, I'm going to forgive people. That same evening from the seminar, I take a seat at the bar. It's a little four-top, small, very small. Right when I'm about to sit down, these two women said, "This is our table." The hostess said we can grab this table. It's a first come, first serve. I went to the hostess. She said, "I didn't say that. I'm hungry. I'm tired." Well, I wasn't really tired, but I'm hungry. I'd like to sit down. I grabbed that table. It was the only little spot at the bar. And these two women were very proud to steal it from me. And I felt, this is not fair. It's even little things like that, feeling defeated. Like, why would you bully me? And I bet you those two also came from the seminar, this personal development seminar. And I thought of what Anna, 39 years old, and Anna, 29 years old, and Anna, 19-year-old would do. And there's a saying that my coaches say on the mat, especially when it's a belt ceremony. It's not the earning of the belt, not just, or whatever that level is. Blue, purple, brown, black in regards to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's who you are. And I've watched other ceremonies online, and I've heard other professors from other schools say, one professor, very famous, Marcelo Garcia in New York, saying some people don't deserve their belt based on character. And I would say that I've heard some of my own coaches say, you have to earn it with your character, not just on skill set. When you're in martial arts, there's a belt system. But if you're not in martial arts, there are other systems where we can rank ourselves in regards to our personal growth, our evolution as a human being. It took everything I had to not say what I wanted to say to those women. I thought, it's just food. And I had every right to say, what the hell's wrong with you? This is my table. I was right here. And I decided it's not worth the fight. It's not worth the battle. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to watch Kung Fu Panda. And I'm going to let 45 minutes slide. I'm going to get my own table. I'm not going to be at the bar. And it worked out perfectly. I can tell you, Anna, 39 years old, 29 years old, 19 years old, would not have acted that way. And that's the difference between Dr. Dolopo at 49 years old and pre-Dr. Dolopo. That's the difference between 3-stripe purple belt Anna and pre-purple belt Anna. There's a way that you can rank yourself in life. The ranking that I give to my patients is pre-mom and mom. The way you behave as a pre-mom is much different. The way you behave before your bachelor's and when you get your bachelor's, before your master's, after your master's, before your doctorate, after your doctorate, before you become an entrepreneur, the moment you work only for yourself. January 27, 2007 was the day I left working for other people. And I started my practice June 22, 1999. It took me 8 years almost, 6.5 years. It was almost a year after I met Dr. Tan. The moment you decide, I'm going to embark on this journey, you become a different person. That saying, it's never too late to be who you might have been. It's never too late to be what you might have been by George Eliot. It took me a very long time to get my doctorate. And when I earned my doctorate, it was magna cum laude. And that may mean nothing to anyone else. That means zero to anyone else. But it means to me. I got all A's and 189%. That means the world to me. It means nothing to anyone else. I don't need it to mean anything to anyone else. But it means to me. And you're looking at someone who never required my children to get straight A's. Never required Angeline, and she never did take any AP courses, or maybe she took advanced courses, but not that I know of. And she felt stupid. She came home and told me, I don't feel smart because everyone in orchestra, whom she was concert mistress, everyone is taking AP courses or advanced courses. And she didn't feel smart. And I said to her, Angela, did it ever occur to you that your mom's in a doctorate program and I demand straight A's for myself, yet from you I don't? Did it ever occur to you that I took all AP courses and advanced courses, but I never demanded that out of you? And she said, why didn't you? Why don't you? And I said, because I know the anxiety and the stress level that comes with it. And the last thing I'm going to ask of any of my children is to put themselves at that level. Now, if they want to take advanced courses or AP courses, they're welcome to. But my husband and I are pretty much at the same place in life, and he got all C's. He barely graduated, whereas me, I got a CSF, honor society, and, I graduated really well in high school. There's a level of emotional stress that comes from demanding so highly from oneself. And my kids already demand so much from themselves for other things. I just don't believe that we're designed to get A's in everything in life. We're going to fail sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with failing. If you're failing, the game's just not done. If you're failing, it's just not done. You're still work in progress. It took me a long time to earn my doctorate. And now I'm a doctor. I earned it August 5, 2022. And I started 1999. But you know what I accomplished between 99 and 2022? It is now January 17, 2023. You know what I accomplished? I got my Dr. Tan Gold level certification. My master's dead now. Grandmaster Dr. Richard Tefu Tan. He's gone. But something inside me when he was alive said, I need to earn that. I could have gotten my doctorate, but instead I earned that, and that was the right decision. Because if I waited, he would have been dead. Life knows what is the right timing. I also earned a Dr. Tan Bot Sis certificate. I started with the first class and I ended with the last class. I earned it June 2015. He died in November. I was in the first class and I ended with the last class. Some of the most difficult Chinese medical courses I ever took. And I have to retake those classes. I have that certificate. I wear it proudly. It's part of my title. I earned it. I could have earned my doctorate in that time frame. But to me, at the time, that's what I prioritized. I prioritized having kids. I prioritized not training martial arts for 8 years. I prioritized the Zumba and the kickboxing and the jiu-jitsu. And when I was pregnant at 43, I was giving myself to boxing and kickboxing and jiu-jitsu to the level that I could. And that is what I've seen so far. For this December 2023, I will become half a century years old. And I have to look at what I have accomplished and not look at what I have not yet accomplished. Because when you look at what you have accomplished, then it'll be like, look, I'm not a loser. Look what I have achieved. I have achieved 3 kids. I'm a 3-stripe purple belt. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And guess what I've done all these years? Writing with a blue pen and white paper exactly what I want. And knowing that life is going to take me to those goals at the right time, at the right place. I wrote or said earlier, take action every day towards that dream. Action dispels doubt and anxiety. So, I get to do the jiu-jitsu at the level I can while having a practice. I started my second business. 2019, I started teaching the business acumen of successful acupuncturists. And I've already earned thousands. I've already earned thousands from a second business, and I'm grateful for that. So, I have students around the world. I call them my elite black belts. It's important, and I'm sharing this with patients. I was going to make this a Happy Club video, but I decided I need my patients to hear this. Usually these kinds of videos I share as a private Happy Club video or as a business acumen video on successfulacupuncturist.com that people have to pay to watch. But I figured there are enough new patients who have not yet scratched the surface of their improvements. And if you made it this far, it's almost an hour. Good. And if I'm only able to touch one person, even better. Because this message is for the one person who feels like they cannot do it. And I'm going to tell you, you can. I couldn't play my violin for 2 years because of 10 plus years of chronic pain in my scapula, which I had graduated from 2006. That's after DACM, acupuncture, cupping, massage, physical therapy, chiropractic, herbs. It wasn't going away, and I started having pins and needles going down my arm. March 6, 2006, I met my master, Dr. Tan, and he got rid of that pain. 2015, 9 years later, I gave my testimonial, which was playing Besame Mucho on my violin. I can play for hours. Action, proper action will cure doubt and fear and anxiety. And you'll see in some of my videos where I talk about proper acupuncture. Find yourself a really good acupuncturist who will help you achieve your dreams. I mentioned that fertility case. If you want to know what it is, go to my YouTube channel or go to elementsinharmony.acupuncture.com/miracle-baby-newsletter. And if that does not convince you how amazing I am at acupuncture and helping a couple who had a 5% chance at getting pregnant, nurse practitioner and physician, and their doctor said, you need donor eggs, it's not going to happen, your AMH is a 0.16. And I said, let's do my protocol. Natural fertility happened. 4 failed IVFs. And I said this cost $8,000 something. In the video, I shared that it cost less than $9,000. How much money was spent on 4 failed IVFs? It was not $8,000. It was a lot more. The right action will get you to where you want to be. Whether that's in sports, I've treated 5 Olympians, 4 of them gold medalists. I know a little bit what it takes watching people's accomplishments, watching my children's accomplishments. I see what it takes to achieve what they're achieving. Be grateful for what you can do. I shared a little bit about that. So when I'm on the mat, hey, I'm here. When I'm here at work, sometimes we have really, really great busy days. And once in a while, it's not so busy. So when it's not so busy, I'm happy to be open. I'm happy to serve. When it was COVID, I stayed open because I'm a primary care provider. And when business wasn't that great, I said, hey, I'm open. I'm here. I'm here. I still give 150%. Focus on what you can do. If you're suffering from whatever, stage 4 cancer or autoimmune issues or chronic neck pain or depression, look at what you can do today. If you can't have a baby so far, look at what you can do today. And I spell out the protocols. Follow the protocol. The protocol has proven itself time and time again since 1999, since I was licensed. It's proven what you can do. The day I gave everything I had on the mat and I was smashed and tapped out 14 times in 2 minutes, that is a number embedded in me. I want to say 14 times in 2 or 3 minutes, or it could have been longer, maybe 5 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. I turned that situation around and I made myself a winner. Sometimes you have to be smashed a million times before you say, maybe I need a mentor. Maybe I need to hire privates. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to hire that person. Maybe I need to read this book. Maybe I have to listen to this particular audible. Maybe I have to do something different, because if you want things in your life to change, you have to change things in your life. You can't do the same thing over and over and over. That's what insane people do. If you want to lose weight, you can't eat the same way. If you want the pain to go away, maybe you need to change methodologies. Maybe you need a new acupuncturist. Maybe you need to try massage, which we have a massage therapist. I've been a massage therapist since 1996. We have an amazing massage therapist, Nicole, who's been here, who's been in practice for over 20 years. I have other doctors that work with me also. So, there are different types of modalities: chiropractic, massage, naturopathic medicine, acupuncture. It's not just Western medicine. Think outside the box. Maybe you need to integrate your modalities of medicine with Western medicine. Or maybe you've been too natural for too long that you finally have to go get an MRI. It doesn't have to be one thing. You have to change your mode of thinking. And here is a little trick that I do. If I want to do something, I'm going to give up. I'm going to do that for 100 days. So one thing I mentioned, losing weight. I would love to get back to a size 2 because it felt great. I used to be a size 8 a long time ago. I don't like that. When you're barely 5'1", it's, 60 pounds, 48, 50, 60 pounds is a lot of weight. So I made a decision. I'm not going to drink alcohol. And I don't drink a lot to begin with. I'll get a glass of wine and finish half of it. But what can I live with? I can drink no alcohol for 100 days. And if I really need to have a little alcohol, I'll take a sip and that's it. So I think I'm on day 4 or 5. I'm definitely not an alcoholic because I barely drink alcohol. If I get a glass of wine, might be 10 to 20 bucks. I'm going to finish half a glass. So, but that's a small step. Even though I don't drink a lot of alcohol, it's a small step to say, I won't do it. I'm not going to say I'm not going to do carbs. I'm going to cut down a little bit. These are small, realistic goals that I can give myself every day. But sometimes people make these goals, and I've seen it happen, where they say, I'm not going to do any sugar for a month. And they suffer through that. And I've done that, no sugar. I've done that multiple times, and it's very hard. It's very, very hard. So make reasonable goals that you can work towards. And guess what? If I really have to have a drink. And I opened up a beer for my husband the other day, a Stella Artois. I opened it up, drank this much, like 2 sips, and I was like, I'm done. Because I've made the decision. And it was just to share with him. He ended up really not drinking it, so we wasted a bottle. But it felt good. I didn't feel the need to drink it. And that's how much I drink anyways, but I didn't feel like I was sacrificing. So that's one thing. I'm grateful that I was able to do that. I'm grateful that I'm going to have a private tomorrow. I'm grateful that I'm able to drive my kids to school every day. I'm grateful that I get to go to work. I'm grateful that I get to be a business person. I'm grateful that I have a great car. I'm grateful that I have several cars. I'm grateful that my daughter's in college. I'm grateful that I have a 12-year-old who's an amazing child. I'm grateful that I have a 5-year-old. My kids go to a Waldorf-based school. He's in transitional kindergarten. My kids do kindergarten 2 years. He's in his first year of kindergarten. It's a Waldorf-based school. We do these, a family has to get, it usually costs a few $100s of groceries. Typically organic. We brought a wagon full of groceries. That's what the kids will eat all week. I was at a hotel Friday through. The checkout was Monday, but I checked out Sunday night. It's a lot to purchase. I've done this for my other 2 girls. Prior to ordering groceries that can come to your house, I always had to go to 2 or 3 different stores. So what I did in the hotel was I ordered some from Target, some from Whole Foods, some from Pavilions, and they were delivered. My son didn't understand why we were taking so long at the hotel. I said, look, I got to order food for school. We went to school this morning. I put everything in the wagon. He was so like, wow, this is for my school? I said, yeah, remember when I was purchasing all this stuff on the computer? And he was so proud of all the apples and all the, the millet and the money plant, because she asked for a plant, all the oranges, all the healthy stuff. We get to the class. I start carrying it to the class. This dude is 5 years old. He carried a heavy Whole Foods bag. He was struggling. And he's like, it's heavy. I'm like, you don't have to carry it, buddy. And he carried it. He was so proud. He's like, I bought like 5 bags of apples. It was supposed to be 9 pounds. 4 or 5 bags of apples. He said, why did you buy a million apples? Is it because there's a million of us? He was so proud. This kid was so proud. I'm sharing this because be grateful for what you can do. He was so proud. The BPA-free water bottles, I think they were like 1 or 2 gallons. I want to say 1 gallon. Like the pH was like a 9 or something like that. He brought the water bottles in. He wanted all his classmates to see how strong he was. He was so proud. And that was a winning moment for him. It was a winning moment for him because he brought those groceries. He was like, oh, is that what? He didn't understand what I was doing in the hotel room. And I had to explain to me, you have to be patient. Look at life like a 5-year-old. Look at what you can do. He was showing off. He was so proud of his ability to carry heavy things. I didn't ask him to. I said, hey, carry this bag of apples. He can carry that. But he chose to carry the heavy bags. That was a big deal. And I thought, I'm so proud of him. He chose something amazing. He chose for himself that he can carry heavy bags. We do this every day, where we choose to help people. When we do that, don't expect anything in return. Do it for yourself. He was so proud of himself. Sometimes we do things and we want people to recognize us. No need to do that. Do it for yourself. Lower your expectations. Do it just for yourself. And when people do give you praise, it's great. Praise other people. But don't expect them to praise you. Sometimes we feel defeated because we expect other people to praise us, and it doesn't happen. And that's our fault, because now we have a contingency. We have a condition for us to be happy if they recognize us. I stopped doing that a long time ago. Dr. Tan would drill that in us, would grill that in us. Don't have expectations. And then the last one, take baby steps and set realistic expectations of yourself daily, which I shared earlier. So, these are my 5 golden rules to not feeling defeated. Look at what you have accomplished. 2, where you are at does not permanently define you. 3, take action every day towards that dream. Action dispels doubt and anxiety. 4, be grateful for what you can do. 5, take baby steps and set realistic expectations of yourself daily. So let's say you have multiple sclerosis. Let's say you have weak bones. Let's say you have diarrhea every day. Let's say you have an immune system issue. Let's say your thyroid is off whack and you just don't have any energy. Let's say your knee is not healthy and you can't run around like you used to. Let's say you can't get pregnant right now. Let's say you feel defeated, and we'll keep this health-wise. Look at what you have accomplished with your health. I know a guy very near and dear to me who has MS, and you would never know this. He also has trigeminal neuralgia. He runs up and down a basketball court. You wouldn't even know. He has to look at what he can accomplish every day. People don't know what he suffers behind closed doors. Where you are at does not permanently define you. No one knows, or barely few people know what he goes through, because he doesn't want anyone to define him as that person with MS. He's going to just do the best that he can every day. Take action every day towards that dream. Anxiety dispels doubt and anxiety. Action dispels doubt and anxiety. So every day he works towards his dream. He has a particular dream. And no one knows, hardly anyone knows what he suffers through health-wise. He takes action every day, and that's what makes him feel successful and not defeated. Because if you know anyone with MS or trigeminal neuralgia, multiple sclerosis or trigeminal neuralgia, or both, it's easy when you have that much pain. Easily, he's one of the most, if not the person with the most pain in my office, if not the top 5. But when you decide, I'm going to be a winner no matter what, and success is a decision away, you don't let whatever you're going through define you. That will elevate your status in your own eyes, and you won't feel defeated. Be grateful for what you can do. I would imagine for him, every time he's able to run up and down the court, even with pain, he feels grateful that he can still run. Take baby steps and set realistic expectations of yourself daily. And I'm sure he does a lot of that. What he can do, what he can't do, and he doesn't cry about it. So, I mentioned about the jiu-jitsu. And let's say you're not talking about health. Let's say myself as a martial artist, when I've had moments of feeling defeated, I look at what I have accomplished. At this point, I could say, hey, it's been 10.5 years. I'm still on the mat. I'm 49 years old. And look at my fingers. They're perfect. My fingers are perfect. If you're a grappler, you understand what that means. And my joints work. You see my knee? It works. I had injured it many, many years ago, 2013, and I fixed it with acupuncture. Look where I am does not permanently define me. So, okay, there are other people who, they're 10.5 years in jiu-jitsu practice. They're already a brown belt or a black belt, but I'm a 3-stripe purple belt. I'm halfway there. Maybe I'll get my black belt in another 3, 5, or 10 years. It's not about comparing myself to other people. It's comparing myself to what I can do. And if this is what I can do, I accept that. And I'm good with it. And I let go of comparing myself to other people. Just like I had to let go of comparing myself to people who are acupuncturists, who are also doctors of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. My time came when it was the right time. Take action every day towards that dream. Action dispels doubt and anxiety. So, I do what I can. I go to class when I can. I take privates when I can. I do other types of workouts when I can, knowing that I'm also an entrepreneur, knowing that I also have a couple of businesses, knowing that I also have to pay people that work for me, knowing that I also have to run a household with a nanny, knowing that I also take care of 3 kids, one in college, one in 6th grade, one in kindergarten, knowing that I also have to take care of my husband of 20 years of marriage. It's a juggle. And I have to be okay with everything and not feel like I'm running behind, because that's where some of the defeat is with seeing some of my patients. Is like you feel like you're just treading water instead of, taking long, calm strokes. You got to look at where you're at, and you have to be proud of where you're at. No one's going to do it for you. Be grateful for what you can do. I'm grateful that I can train jiu-jitsu. I've seen people do jiu-jitsu with no arms and no legs, and he was in my gym. Kyle Maynard. I saw him at a seminar in Washington, D.C., and then my friend wanted him to speak. I asked for a favor. His best friend, who was running I'm part of Global Information Network. I'm a level 6 candidate. I said, hey, can you get him to talk? And he said he's supposed to be at a mountain, Manjaro. I forgot the name of it's late. It's 11:41 p.m. I forgot the name of the I'm sure you remember right now. Kilimanjaro. He has another, mountain. He was just constantly climbing mountains. But he came to our gym. He must be a black belt now, but at the time I think he was a purple belt. He choked out my husband. My husband's pretty good. No arms, no legs. I'm sure he's been on the Larry King show. I've seen his handwriting. He lives in a 3-story house. He drives a truck. No arms, no legs. When I met him, I gave him a hug. I gave him a hug. The first time I gave him a hug was in Washington, D.C. My mom met him. And I thought it was the first real big personal development seminar I had ever been to. That was 2013. I stopped making excuses significantly the day I met him. Take baby steps and set realistic expectations of myself daily. So as a mother of 3, as a woman who trains jiu-jitsu, as a business owner, I do what I can do. And I'm okay with it. And that's how I stop myself from feeling defeated. I look at what I can do. When my patients get this book, Healing with Whole Foods, I fill it out for them. I tell them, you're going to learn one thing a day. Just one sentence, even if it's carrots for that particular issue. You're going to learn one thing a day. So I hope that helps. It's a very long video. This is my gift to you, 2023. I hope you have everything that you expect, have high expectations in 2023. Everything you wish for, everything you expect. I hope you have very, very big dreams. Build the biggest dreams. Imagination is going to get you where you want it to go. But you're not going to accomplish it if you don't have the dream. You have to know what you want. And you have to set out your intentions. Because there might come a day where you're smashed, like when I was 9 months pregnant and that dude smashed me 14 times in, 4 minutes, however long it was. Maybe it was 5 minutes. It was such a long fight. And what do you do in those moments? Do you cry? Do you cry to everyone? Do you make excuses? Do you hold yourself up high, hold your head up high and say, it is what it is, and I'm going to go back to the drawing board and I'm going to start all over? Or are you going to wallow in your misery? You have a choice. When someone steals a bar stool from you, are you going to start a fight? There was a situation where a very well-known black belt in jiu-jitsu, in the jiu-jitsu world, was killed not too long ago in Brazil, was shot by another. is it worth getting into these fights at a bar? This was at a bar. If it was in the Hilton, it was in the bar section of the restaurant. I could have been a lot more adamant about keeping my bar stool. Or just say, you can have the table. I'll watch it. Kung Fu Panda. It's these moments when you feel defeated. What do you do with it? I hope that helps, and I hope you have a great night.